井出社長、よろしくお願いします。
Mr. Ide, can you please come to the microphone? Good morning.
私は社長の井出信孝でございます。
I am Nobutaka Ide, President.
株主の皆様にはご多忙のところ、当社
To
株
the
主総会に
shareholders,
ご出席い
thank
た
you
だき
very much
誠
for
にありがとうご
attending
ざいます。
the shareholders meeting today out of your very
第
busy
14条
schedule.
の定めにより、私が
In
本日の
accordance
議
with
長を務め
Article
ますので、
14 of the
よろしくお
Article
願い申し
of
上げます
Incorporation, I will be assuming the role of
それで
chair
は
today.
ただいまから株
So
式会社
now
ワコム
I
第
declare
38
the
回
opening
定
of
時
the
株主総
38th
会を開
Ordinary
催いたします。
Shareholders Meeting of Wacom.
議事の秩序を保つため、
Would like to ask for your cooperation on how we proceed with the agenda in order to proceed in an orderly manner. As for any comments or questions on reporting matters, I would like to ask the shareholders to express them after the reporting is concluded. Also, as for any questions or comments on resolution matters, would like to ask you to express them after the explanation of each proposal following my instructions.
本日の総会議事の
We are taking videos from the back of the room to accurately capture the status of the discussion during today's meeting and to share the information internally. Also, for those shareholders who cannot come to the venue today, we are live streaming from this venue via internet and also planning to disclose this video to the public on the company's website at a later date, so appreciate your understanding in advance. In order to prevent the expansion of COVID-19, all directors attending today's shareholders meeting and all of our staff at this venue have gone through PCR tests and all have been confirmed as negative.
それでは
Now, I would like to report to you on the number of shareholders and voting rights for today's shareholders meeting. At today's general shareholders meeting, there are 33,173 shareholders who have voting rights, and the number of voting rights are 1,624,313. By aggregating the number of shareholders who have submitted voting forms and those who will exercise their voting rights electronically and those who are attending the meeting today, I hereby report to you that we have the required number of shareholders attending to deliberate on all matters. So now, before we start with the reporting on the matters to be reported and the deliberation of the proposals, would like to ask the member of the Audit Committee to report on audit. Would also like to ask the member of the Audit Committee to report on the results of audit by the Financial Auditor and the Audit Committee on the consolidated financial statements. Now over to Mr. Higashiyama, member of the Audit Committee. I am Shigeki Higashiyama, member of the Audit Committee. As being appointed by the chair, I would like to report to you on the audit. I would like to report that Audit Committee has, on the execution of the duties of the directors in the 38th fiscal year, examined and discussed based on the Audit Committee regulations stated by the Audit Committee and has created the Audit Committee's audit report. The method and results of the audit conducted by the Audit Committee are as written in the audit report by the Audit Committee as shown from page 44 to page 45 in the notice of the shareholders meeting as handed out to you. There are no specific items to be pointed out. Also, the results of the audit by the financial auditor on the consolidated financial statements are as written on the audit report by the financial auditor as shown on page 40 to page 41 of the notice of the shareholders meeting. The Audit Committee acknowledges the method and results of the audit conducted by PricewaterhouseCoopers Arata LLC as appropriate. As for the proposals submitted to today's shareholders meeting and the documents, there are no specific matters to be pointed out. That is all for my reporting. Thank you, Mr. Higashiyama, member of the Audit Committee. Those were the results of the audit on consolidated financial results. Now, we will report to you on the 38th term. Business report, consolidated financial statements, and non-consolidated financial statements for the 38th term are shown on page 5 to page 39 of the convocation notice handed out to you, and as shown on the notes to consolidated financial statements and notes to non-consolidated financial statements posted on our website on the internet. Now, I would like to present based on the material, so please look at the front screen. Once again, thank you very much for coming today. Business briefing, business reporting of the 38th term, and Chapter 3, which is our new midterm plan, the policy for that midterm plan I would like to talk about from here. Firstly, right here we see the results overview of the 38th term. Both for sales and profit, we marked record high. Thank you so much for your support. The branded business and technology solution business, which provides Wacom's technology to other companies. For both business sectors, we were able to mark increase in sales and increase in profit. Based on this performance, the dividend per share was 19 yen, including the special dividend, which is a record high, changing from the initial forecast of 7.5 yen. This is the PL of our company. As marked in red, operating profit was 7.8 billion yen increase, and SG&A 25.8%. We are investing in the technology, and otherwise we are using our money in a very smart way, as I have been saying about Chapter 2. So we were able to do that and lowered the SG&A ratio. And here is the profit and losses by business segment. As mentioned before, branded business and technology solution business both marked increase in sales and profit. Operating profit ratio, the target for Chapter 2, which was OP ratio of more than 10%, both businesses have been able to achieve the target, exceeding 10% for OP margin. Consolidated balance sheet, very sound financial condition. One of the highlights is the increase in inventories, 5.7 billion yen increase in inventories. The volume of sales itself has been increasing, and also very recently there's been issues about the supply chain, lack of components or semiconductors. In order to address those issues, we are to a certain extent increasing the inventories. As for the cash flow, the highlight here is again increase in inventories for the same reason. We will be managing steadily. So that was an overview of the 38th term. Chapter 2, there was the midterm plan starting from the 36th term. Initially, Chapter 2 was from term 36 to term 39 to this year, up to this year. But in the term 38, we were able to achieve the goals that we had as a target for Chapter 2. So now I want to review the goals here for Chapter 2. Corporate vision, lifelong link. Based on that, we had worked on 3 strategies, and as a result of that, in the 38th term, operating profit 10%, operating profit amount 10 billion yen, sales 100 billion yen or more, and ROE 15 to 20%. These were the targets for Chapter 2, but all of them we were able to meet earlier than we had planned. So the Chapter 3, the next midterm plan, we want to move on to the next midterm plan, Chapter 3, from this fiscal term. Chapter 3, the new midterm plan, which we reported during the account settlement meeting, I would like to touch upon Chapter 3 as well. Firstly, our vision is lifelong link, which has not changed. This is the promise from Wacom to the customers and the society. our digital ink or technology of digital pin. We want to contribute by using our technology to provide that technology for the long life of human being. So we will be succeeding again this lifelong ink, our vision from chapter 2 to chapter 3.
And based on this vision, we are going to work on 5 strategic initiatives under the chapter 3. So I'd like to touch upon these 5 initiatives. First initiative is technology leadership. So we focus on the technology development so that we can provide overwhelming experiences to consumers. This hasn't been changed since chapter 2. The source of our value is technology. So we do not forget about our nature being technology company, and we put this as the most important initiatives. The second initiative is community engagement. So we engage community properly to operate our business to make wonderful experiences together with our partners. And in this sense, of course, this society and technology are getting more complicated. So we cannot just create experiences by ourselves. So we now need to partner with the different players and community to create substantial experiences. And the third initiative is a new core technology, new value proposition. This is the third initiative. As of today, we have a very strong technology to write with digital and handle digital, both through software and hardware. But over the next 4 years of the chapter 3, in addition to the existing technology, we are trying to create 3 core technologies. One is the digital ink times by AI, and the second core is the writing technology in the virtual reality. And thirdly, we would like to provide services to protect copyrights through our technology. So AI, XR, security will be the 3 areas that we create new values by combining with our existing technology. Now, fourth strategic initiative is this. Of course, we argue that we are technology company, but this technology is not just to generate more profit, but we would like to make contribution to sustainable society in the environmental domain and others so that we can provide values. Now, lastly, this is very important. This is the 5th strategic initiative, meaningful growth. So we aim for meaningful growth, of course. So over the next 4 years of the chapter 3, we would secure the financial growth, but we do not just stick to that financial growth, but we would like to make the meaningful growth for human beings as well as societies. I'm sure that there are different types of growth for employees, for customers, and for societies, but we do not just focus on financial growth, but by securing financial growth, we would like to make meaningful growth in different areas, different perspectives. So I talked about the 5 strategic initiatives, but we have implemented some technologies, or we have started some projects to realize these strategies, for which I'd like to share some of the examples with you. So this one is the first one, New Shin Evangelion. This is in the last phase of the showing at theaters, and we are supporting this creation. If you watch the Shin Evangelion, if you take a close look at the credit role, you will find our name, Wacom, as a supporter in equipment. So we provided tools to creators and artists to create this movie animation. So we would like to fine-tune this technology under the Chapter 3 as well. And this one shows that how we support not in the creative area, but in educational sector as well. So our products and services are being used in learning sector. And COVID-19 had prevented people from coming together in the classroom. So we helped to do the digital classrooms and also to create remote learning materials for teachers. So there are different ways to use our technology and products, but the opportunities are increasing. So we want to put good focus to improve our technology or by improving our technology. And not just in education, but this is a DX, digital transformation domain in different business companies as well as administrative municipal offices. Our tool is used. So this photo shows the Shibuya Ward City Hall administrative procedures where people use this pen displays to fill out the forms, which used to be done in paper. So using our technologies, we are making contribution for the digital transformation. And the next example, this is not our brand item, but other companies, Samsung's Galaxy, which uses our technology. And over the past 10 years, we have supported this Galaxy's S Pen. They launched the latest product recently, but they don't just implement our pens, but they also stationary items. Digital stationaries are sometimes used by Galaxy Book that we work together with Mitsubishi Pencil and Uni. So as you can see, we create new experiences together with customers. And this was reported last year as well. This is the project we worked together with Lenovo. This is the world's first foldable PC, and pen and touch technologies are provided by Wacom. And there are different foldable technologies available. But in terms of the commercialization level, the Wacom was the first and only company who realized that. And in the second part of the business briefing session, I'd like to introduce more about the details of this technology. So together with the customers as well as the display companies, we created this kind of new experience using this foldable device. And this example is our product supported by Chromebook. Chromebook is selling very well. Chromebook is often used in educational sector. And as you can see, this logo, which says works with Chromebook with a rainbow color, this is the logo to indicate that this this company works closely with Chromebook and certified by Chromebook. And as this kind of tablets, the Wacom is the only company who received this logo and certification. And we really closely collaborated with Google by, for example, rectifying the problems that Google had. So we created this technology. And that's on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, this is the example from Android. There are a lot of people who do not have a PC these days. So in the Android world, we created experience that people can do the same experience with smartphones without having PC. And this is the good example where we create the experience in society. This is a collaboration project with the Z Kai group. It's a sort of a cram school. And we made an official announcement that we would collaborate with ZKai. And the first step is to create the educational tablet using our pen technology dedicated only for ZKai group. So at different houses, these tablets are used with the installation of Wacom pen. Now, the next step is the applications that it can use the Wacom pen, for example, for filling or learning, and this has been already completed.
And that's the next stage, not just learning by writing on the tablets, but using the data that comes out from the pens to provide deeper education service to the children. That is the service that we are looking into for the future. We are now developing using AI. We would like to optimize the learning service which fits to each individual. So this is one of the actual example. The new core value that I mentioned in the third strategy, by combining with AI, we would like to provide new value, new service. And the next example is for the artists who are writing or drawing in digital, want to protect the copyright of the artists. When you announce a certain art, because it's digital, there are concerns that they could be copied by someone else. But with the technology, we would like to protect the copyright of the designers or creators for each writing or drawing. We are also having partnership with the blockchain companies, and would like to protect the copyright of digital artists. That is one of our efforts to provide new core value, as I explained in the third strategy. And VR pen, as reported from last year, in the virtual space with a goggle, drawing pictures in virtual space or VR experience. That is one of the new core values in strategy number 3. And here we have a sample already. I would like to show by this video. In this very large display, someone wearing a goggle is seeing this scene, and by writing the pen in the air, you can see that in this case, he is writing characters, but the letters or characters could be in-depth. We already have the prototype for this technology, and we are now developing so that we can commercialize next year. And this slide is not about technology, but it relates to strategy number 4. Development of our technology is to contribute to the sustainable society. The company as a whole is, of course, working on various goals, including climate change initiatives, but also we are participating in JCI, Japan Climate Initiative. In the technology development team, there is a dedicated team which will be looking into caring about the environment. How can we create products that can be used for a long life? We are working with the experts. We would like to produce products that contributes to the sustainable society. I would like to introduce some of our efforts through the interviews with our engineers in part 2 today. And this is related to strategy number 5, aiming for meaningful growth, not just financial growth, but we would like to grow, which would be meaningful for the people and the community. We have started we are supporting the start of the Connected Ink Village, which is a general incorporated association. Within this platform, Connected Ink Village, various artists or various engineers or various people from the education sector have gathered and will be working on art, technology, and learning, which is important for the human being. This is the activity to support these activities for a long-term basis. So with the people in the community, we are also working on coexisting as a human being in the society. And this is another example. Helaruboni, which I believe some people know about this Helaruboni. It is a startup company. The arts that were created by people with impairments, this company commercializes the art, and the consideration for that is to be returned to the artist. That is what the company is doing. We are collaborating with this company and pursuing the new way of expression by the human being. So with those people with impairments, they are artists. There's no borders for that. And trying to create a social system to bring those arts to the society. This company is now working on this using art technology. So these 5 strategies I have reported to you with some actual cases or examples. But you may ask, you are talking about meaningful growth, but what does it mean on a financial basis? That might be the question that you may have. Here, we're showing that we will continuously be maintaining the growth of the bottom half. The purple part is the business model or the technology that we currently have, the pen technology, and the business model, which is to sell the products as a hardware. Based on that, the growth is to be achieved. That is what the purple part represents. In this part, we should be achieving single-digit growth. And starting from 2 years from now, the red star, we will be seeing the growth part, which is in green. And this green portion is, as I mentioned, there will be new business models, combination with AI, combination with XR, and protection of copyrights. With combination of those services, the new business model will be starting with these technologies starting up, not just hardwares, but subscription or loyalty business. Those new type of business is to start from the start point to create this green portion. And together with the green and the purple portion, we should be able to see double-digit growth. This is not something that we can do only in Chapter 3, but by looking into Chapter 4 as well, we would like to grow steadily. It's not that we will be investing to all types of technology, but we would like to achieve growth through efficient investment in technology. So we introduced as a new indicator, ROIC. By aiming for ROIC of 25 to 30%, we would like to achieve growth based on efficient investment. And at the same time, we'd like to aim for the improvement of the quality of management. Firstly, to improve transparency of management. External directors, the number of external directors will be increasing from 4 to 5. They will comprise the majority of the BOD meeting. All of the people have very special expertise and should be maintaining high quality in their discussion in the BOD meeting. And also to secure diversity, we will be having a female external director so that we can secure substantial diversity in our BOD. So these vision, strategy, and our thoughts, based on all these, we would like to aim for meaningful growth in Chapter 3. And lastly, the first year of Chapter 3, I would like to give you some guidance on the performance of the 39th term. I already reported this in the account announcement meeting. So the numbers are based on baseline scenario, conservative numbers. There could be various risks like lack, shortage of components, etc. And during Chapter 3, we will also be investing in technology development. So this baseline, which are quite conservative, we are showing you the number that we should be able to achieve at minimum these numbers. It shows that there will be a slight decline from the previous year. But when we show this on the chart, the red line, last year we were able to mark operating profit of 13.4 billion yen. This year the guidance is 11 billion yen. And as you can see from the red line here, the target for Chapter 2, 10 billion yen, we should be exceeding that operating profit. And with some addition to that, that will be the starting point. And on the right side, furthermore, we would like to take steps to the next growth.
Branded business on the next page, it was less than the previous year, as well as the technology solution business. However, we have been following the next business opportunity so that we can add an extra profits to the baseline. Regarding investment, the biggest point is R&D expense, 6 billion yen. It's the increase of over the previous year by 29%. So during Chapter 3, different types of technological innovation as well as technology development. So we are going to spend a good amount of money on this point. Now, lastly, the shareholders' return. The policy hasn't been changed, but regarding the dividends, the payout ratio will be around 30%. Last year, the regular dividend of 13.5 yen. And to keep the stable dividend, we foresee that this year's dividend will be 15 yen. And over the next 4 years, we are planning to buy back to the maximum 10 billion yen. So this buyback as well as this dividend payout, we would like to make the good shareholders return. So I made the 38th term's business report as well as the key point of the next 39 terms. Thank you very much. I would like to open the floor later for questions. With this, I would like to end the report of the 38th term. Now, I would like to refer to the questions to which we have received in advance. And so, as disclosed on May 12, 2021, when is the company planning to conduct buyback shares? So I would like to respond to these questions from several shareholders from me. So this really depends. We have received these questions, several questions about the timing of buybacks. And we said that over the next 4 years, we are going to conduct a maximum 10 billion yen of buyback. And this policy has not been changed. But we are not planning to make evenly distributed buybacks. But by taking into account the different situations in the environment, we would be very agile or active in conducting these buybacks. And we are preparing currently for that. I can't really give you the precise timing, but we are making proper discussion at this board and by communicating to shareholders probably when we conduct buybacks. That was the response from me, the chair, Ide. The next question is that the question was about the measures to help the company's digital pens used broadly on smartphones. I'd like to answer to this question as well. So the pen installation onto smartphones. And as I explained, Galaxy smartphone has received a big attention. But maybe this question is about the possibility of installing our pens to other smartphones. For that, yes, we are working very hard on our technology development. And I can't really specify with whom and when we are going to collaborate. But it's a very difficult technology to implement digital pen to smartphones because smartphones are getting thinner and thinner. So we are working on the development very hard right now. And the technology of pens of Wacom is to communication to receive signal from the smartphones. And what is required is a semiconductor to be embedded into the smartphones. And through these semiconductors, the creation of experience of drawing with pen is possible. But this is not just about our pens, but we have to work together with the device makers so that our pen can be operated on their semiconductors. So I'm going to share with you the experiences of our engineers in the second business briefing session. But not just on smartphones, but on different devices, our pens are installed. And it's a small project, but last year, there was an announcement that Wacom's pen could be used on a smartphone. So, of course, smartphones and tablets do not have borders anymore these days. So, but we would like to expand the applications to not just the smartphones, also the PCs as well. So that was the answer from me. And the next question is about in relate to the reorganization of Tokyo Stock Exchange as of April 2022. Which is the company applying for, Prime or Standard Market? And I'd like to answer to this question as well. Well, the Prime Market, we can't really specifically answer from the standpoint of fair disclosure rules, so I hope you will understand. However, there are different conditions and requirements to apply to the Prime Market. So regardless whether we will be qualified for Prime Market or not, but from the market cap, perspective of market cap and liquidity and sustainability approach and acquisition of human resources, being prepared as a good quality corporation or company. Now, next question is regarding the revised corporate governance code. What is the company's policy for sustainability, such as social and environmental issues, and measures to secure relevant human resources? I'd like to answer to this question as well. Well, governance code revision, and the point is how to secure the core human resources and how we can appeal or take an approach to the sustainability. So these indicators are also important, not just about the financial indicators. And especially the engineers will be the core human resources, but we are trying to engineers with diversity so that we can make a good connection to the next generation. And in the second part of the business briefing session, I'm going to share the direct voices and feedbacks from our engineers. And we are making global development, so you are going to hear different engineers with diversity. Now, regarding sustainability, yes, in order to create sustainable society, we have to think about connections with the environment as well as the societies. As I explained earlier, we are conducting different initiatives so that we can make good contributions to environment, not to be qualified, but as a corporate citizen, we would like to assume our responsibilities in this area as well. So that was the answer from me. Now, the next question is regarding the company's plan to launch specific VR or MR, mixed reality, or any other business. I'd like to answer to that question. So VR, MR, writing in the air, that's kind of product and solutions are now worked to create prototype. And in the next fiscal year, even in a smaller size, we are trying to make it commercialized. So that is the timing we are planning on. And other than VR, MR, there are new areas. So with the 5 strategies, the combination with AI or the combination with the copyright protections, and those are the new areas. So that, and we would like to commercialize these new projects in the next fiscal year. So that's the answer from me.
And next question, with the Z-Kai Group or Z-Kai Group, the cram school company, about the outsourcing contract with that company, what is the progress and how we expect on your partnership with Z-Kai or Z-Kai? As I reported previously, in the first phase, using our pen technology, they will be introducing a dedicated pen tablet and application using Wacom software. That development has been completed, and now we are heading for the next step. Using our digital data or ink data, how can we create the services that fits to the students? We would like to go into the next stage to come up with the services for the education, individual education. So those were the responses from me, the chair. And the next question, entering into the education sector, we hear that you are collaborating with other companies, but your company as a hardware manufacturer, at the end, how are you going to be raising profits from that business? And also for the Chromebook, will you be selling using the method that is used in the US? So this question, in the education area, the value that we provide in the education area, of course, as shown in some of the actual examples in the learning area, our pen tablets or pen displays, we will be selling our products themselves. And also the PC or tablets that are produced by other manufacturers using our pen technology, that is one of the businesses or the hardware businesses that we are involved in. The business that we are imaging is, in addition to the business utilizing hardwares, the data that comes out from the pen, we want to focus on dedicated service to the education. Using our software, we capture what the students had written, and by combining that with various data, may be able to find out whether this student is learning slowly, this student might be good at a certain subject, but maybe not for a certain subject. We should be able to come up with some characteristic or attributes of the student. So not just providing the hardware for education, but how we can create curriculum that fits to each individual to come up with the question or items that the students should be working on next. We would like to provide services like that by having partnership with other companies. These services is not to be provided only by Wacom, but these services that are indispensable, Wacom would like to provide the technology for that purpose. And by doing this, it should be possible to provide learning services that fits to the individuals. We are calling this plug-in the technology that will be mounted to these softwares. This could be based on subscription, loyalty. We'll be charging on each individual student, and we'll be getting some profits from there. With that new business model, we would like to provide software in addition to the hardware. That is the idea that we're having. And the other half of the question as to how we should be adapting to Chromebook. Chromebook is now growing significantly, and the pen method USI, Universal Style Initiative, which the Chromebook is proposing. There is a consortium, and here the specs are defined, and the pens are to be used based on that spec. That is what Chromebook is recommending. And in this consortium, Wacom is part of it. Wacom is in this USI consortium, so is in the position to be able to prepare for this spec. And the pen of Wacom actually, as for those spec that's not original from Wacom, it is possible for us to adapt to that as well. Like, for example, Microsoft has come up with a pen on their own, but our pen is also possible to incorporate the spec of other companies as well. This is a very special technology. We're the only one company in the world who can do this. So the technology of those other than Wacom's original, it is possible for us to incorporate that technology. That is the experience that we can create. So this USI method, we will be working on this as well. It is Wacom's pen, and we'll be able to operate using Wacom's method, but also USI or other companies' spec as well. So we would like to provide values that do not exist anywhere else. And this Chromebook, not just USI, but also the pen tab of Wacom, those are used as attachments. So even if the pen is not packaged together, by using the pen tablets of Wacom, it is possible to write on or draw on. So now the growing market of the Chromebook, we are supporting the growth of that market. So that was the response from me. So those were the questions that we received in advance with regard to the reporting matters. We received various questions. Some of the questions that duplicate, we summarized slightly and responded to you. So now, the people at this venue and those participating on an online basis would like to receive questions from you. For those who have questions at the venue, please raise your hand, and when I appoint you, please stand up. Our staff will be guiding you to the microphone at the front of this room. So at the microphone, please say the number of your attendance slip. You don't have to mention your name, and give the number of your attendance slip and ask your question. So now, open for questions. In the middle, at the front line, please use the microphone at the front. I'm 007. In the latter part, I think you will be talking about, I will be having some questions or proposals for the business plan later on as well, but here I want to propose on this topic. Last year, I had made some suggestions or questions on education field, but this year I would like to focus my question on arts. And here, about the outside director, I have proposal and question on outside director. If you have already addressed this, it's okay, let us know. But roughly looking at this, external directors, there seems to be many external directors who used to be engineers. But in your explanation on the business profile, explanation on arts, I think you had spent more time than usual. So the people who have expertise or knowledge on digital arts, it may be good to have external directors who have knowledge on the arts as well and utilize that for your management. How about thinking about that as a recommendation? Thank you very much for the question. As for the composition of the board of directors, including the external directors, when looking at it, it seems like many people are strong as an engineer or in technology, but recently digital art or new type of art has become more topical. So it should be better to have directors who specialize in digital arts. I believe that is the question. Thank you. As had been proposed, we would like to look into it as well going forward. Ourselves, we are providing instruments for drawing or writing in digital as a position to provide instruments. We have always been working closely with the field, the people who are actually creating or authors or artists. We are directly communicating with those people and collaborating with them.
And we pursue the technology development as well as the creating community. So from a perspective, we need a good direction and policy as to what sort of new domains we should create. I think that is very important. So including the external directors who have such expertise is one thing, but we could also just collaborate the stakeholders or partners who have such expertise. So as long as we will be able to accumulate our expertise and know-how in digital art, and that is something we have to do. I think that's the answer from me, the chair. Now, oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was going to ask some question. So any other questions? If not, other than the questions from the floor, we now would like to address the questions received from shareholders watching the streaming of this meeting. Regarding the questions received in advance and the questions from the floor may have preempted some of the questions from the internet. So in that case, we are going to skip those questions, but if we receive any new questions, we would like to answer to them. Oh, again, there is a shareholder on the floor who would like to ask the question. Could you state your shareholder number? The number is 11, and my name is Takahashi. And a long time ago, I think he was the executive director. The local entity president was included, and he was attending this general shareholders meeting in the past. So you didn't really present much about the situation outside of the country. So if you could elaborate on that overseas business situation, I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much for your question. So let me reiterate what I've heard. So in our business operation and in our global business operation, what sort of roles and contributions are being done by our overseas staff? Thank you. I would like to answer to that question from myself, from me. Well, today, because of the COVID-19, it was not possible to have overseas members to come over here. And in terms of execution, so we are making global operation. Let me give you some examples. One is there are two business units to sell products with creative business solution business unit. One is for creation, one is for B2B. So both business units heads are Fike and Peter. So they are non-Japanese leaders. They are stationed in Europe. So we do have a non-Japanese leaders abroad. And I talked about the combining software, and there is a division called Ink Division who does the software development. It's a big business unit, and Haij One is a woman, and she is a non-Japanese leader to lead this big team. And other than those, the executive managers do actually include more non-Japanese leaders. So that is the global operation we pursue. So I believe that the diversity has been secured for our global operation. And in terms of geographical regions, we do have big regional groups. So not just focusing on business operation, but these regional operation can take care of the cultural difference as well as the difference customs of each region. So each regional entity heads are done by local people. In America, woman leader Amanda is the one. In China, Mandy, this is another female head, but she is the leader of this entity. So in each region, this local head is leading the organization. So because of the COVID-19, we couldn't have them in person here, but they are listening to this meeting on the internet. So they are listening closely to the feedbacks of shareholders. Thank you. Now, from the internet, we received questions. So first question towards in order to reduce the CO2 emission, what are you going to do as measures? I'd like to respond to this question from me. Yes, reduction of CO2 emission, and our policy has been stated on our website. So we would like to set a clear target, and through our business operation, we are going to take different initiatives for that. And as reported earlier, that we participate in the climate change initiative. So not just by ourselves, but we would like to work in a group to take on new challenges for this area. And it's a detailed initiatives, but as an approach to reduce CO2s, we try to create, make a longer product life so that people don't just dispose products soon. And that's one of the topics we are working on by the dedicated team. And although the initiative or project is still small, but as you can see, our products are displayed, and some are our products and some are our partners' products. But the stands are here on the stage are made of the wasted materials, for example, from construction sites. So we use such wasted materials to for the displays, and we continue using these recycled displays. And it's a small initiative, but as a corporate citizen, this is one of the efforts we are making right now. Now let's move on to the second question. So when you pay attention to the sustainable growth, do you think about the successors, transition to the next successor, as well as the new generation's training and education? I'd like to respond to that from me. Yes, the succession plan and the human resources training and education for the next phase. It's a very important topic, and at the board, we often talk about this. And naturally, the next generation's leaders have to be developed. But as for the entire corporation, we create working environment, and we would like to create an environment where people, every single employee could be developed. And the leadership education in a pyramid shape is one option, but there is a unique approach at our company is where regardless of the age or title, we are conducting different projects, and some who are so passionate and who have a close engagement with particular projects, it's not difficult to find those people in our company. So we would like to put these people into project leaders, and we would like to make a delegation, and so that they can really develop themselves by learning in projects, by working in the fields with passions, and by creating his or her own teams. So we are trying to create such environments as much as possible so that each individual can develop themselves so that they can really lead the corporations in the future. That's how we operate our organization.
That was the response from me. The third question, the new employees this year, has the number increased from usual years? Would like to respond from myself. The new joiners for this fiscal year has not increased significantly. On a global basis, we have around 1,200 people, employees, and in Japan, around 400. It's quite difficult to have many new employees join, but we would like to connect well enough the generation within the company. So we want to be aggressive in hiring new employees, and also not just developing or training, but the younger people these days have very sharp sense. So they have some sense that are specific to the young generation. So for our products or services, not just sticking to new graduates, but we would want new people to join the company. More and more new people to join the company. That's what we want. So the fourth question, innovation of technology, we highly evaluate that you have been progressing earlier than your plan. How do you feel about your share price, which is not going up? Thank you for the question. Myself, Ide, would like to respond to that question as well. Thank you for highly evaluating us. As for the share prices, this is the stock market. So from our position, we cannot comment on whether the share price is high or low. So I cannot comment on that point. But as I had already explained, this new midterm plan, Chapter 3, will be working on this as much as we can. And also, we'll be creating financial growth. And in addition to that, meaningful growth that contributes to the people and the society. We would like to maintain this baseline and would like to work on steadily to improve our corporate value. That was the response from me. The next question. Video streaming of shareholders meeting, will that continue going forward as well? Do you plan to have any explanatory sessions in local areas? Thank you for the question. Myself, Ide, would like to respond to that question as well. The video streaming of shareholders meeting, I think you're talking about whether we will be doing it next year and after. Yes, we do plan to do video streaming even after COVID-19 settles. In order to communicate with a wider range of shareholders, we think it is important, and we will be doing some live streaming of the shareholders meeting going forward as well. And actually today, in addition to the session that we're doing after the shareholders meeting, in the late afternoon today, we will be also doing some live streaming to the shareholders overseas in order to deliver our messages directly. We will be having a Q&A on a direct basis. This will be done on an online basis. To the overseas shareholders, we will be conducting our session in English. So we want this shareholders meeting to be open. That's what we are strongly aware of, conscious about. And the last question we received on an online basis, I will read out. Before becoming a president, Mr. Ide, you were talking about a pen that can be purchased in 100 yen. Does that relate to subscription services that you previously mentioned about? Thank you for the question. I would like to respond to that. I sometimes get this question. In an interview in a magazine, I was saying that we aim for a pen that you can purchase with 100 yen coin. I mentioned about this before. I didn't say 100 yen, but I said one coin. One coin could be 100 yen, 500 yen. There could be various coins in various countries. But what I wanted to say is that pens are quite expensive, but we want to have the pens to be purchased like regular stationery. So that's what I intended to say, a pen that can be purchased using one coin. Whether 100 yen, 500 yen, we have not reached that level yet. But as the person who has given this question has mentioned, by providing new value, I think we're aiming for that. Firstly, we will be expanding the type of pens that we can provide by tying up with various stationery manufacturers. We would like to increase the type of pens that we provide on an infinite basis. We are working on technology innovation for that purpose. So there is this hardware business providing pens, but also combining with softwares, whether subscription services or maybe like one pen per month, how much it will be. That could be the way we charge the product. So there's various possibilities. My intention is that this pen that can write electronically, digitally, we would want everyone to be using digital pen on a daily basis. Not just those people in the creative area, but people in the education area or in the learning stage. We want to create pens for those purposes that can be used on a daily basis in various areas. So that's the response from me. Thank you for the question. And lastly, these were the questions on an online basis. If there are any questions at the floor, from the floor. So the person at the row, please come to the front, to the microphone. Number 21. There was a question about the share price. The current share price in the 700 yen line might be a bit less appealing. Maybe there could be a loss of appeal for that price. So the director in charge of IR, Investor Relations, would like to hear about what you have appealed in the last fiscal year. And the target share price by the securities companies is 1,300 yen. Despite the very good outlook on your performance, even amid COVID-19, there is a certain level of decline in the share prices. As for your policy for share buybacks, I think it's difficult for you to make any comments, but it would be good if you could talk about a bit more in detail. Not just for the investors, individual investors, but it seems like the foreign investors are doing some short sales as well. So it would be good if you could comment on those aspects as well. Thank you. About the question that you have just made, talking about share prices, we're coming up with the right business performance, but how we appeal to the market or communication to the investors, to what extent we are working on the communication, and also in relation to that, as one of our efforts for shareholder return, whether we can comment on share buybacks. I believe that was the question. So firstly, on the first part of the question, Machida, in charge of IR and finance, will be making comments.
As appointed by the chair, Machida, in charge of finance, will answer to the question. First, our activities of IR during the 38th term. So as IR activities, especially in the latter half of the term, we conducted online meetings by the chair, Mr. Ide, twice to report on the business results where different institutional investors participated. And our business results, as well as a midterm business plan strategy, were explained. And in addition to that, we had individual meetings with individual institutional investor, and we conducted about 220 individual meetings with institutional investors during the last term. And of that, about 50 meetings were with the foreign investors. And regarding who is conducting the meetings, that is Mr. Ide and myself and our investors relations team members. And all of us are making close communication with investors so that we can secure appropriate evaluation of our share price. Now, the second point about our buyback plan. At the beginning of this session, the chair explained on this matter, but the buyback is, of course, for the shareholders in order to pursue shareholders' return and provide added values. We would like to conduct share buyback in an agile manner, on a timely manner. And overall policy was that we would conduct a maximum 10 billion yen over the 4 years period. So as we explained at the business result meeting, we shared this policy with you. So we are making preparation in order to achieve this policy. Let me add a few words from the chair. So regarding how we appeal to the market, so of course we have to conduct properly the IR activities. But in addition to that, we understand that we have to have more exposures in communities to communicate and appeal the leading edge nature of our tools. For example, in education, there is a community who pursue education, who pursue the education with digital technology, supported by the METI as well as the Ministry of Education. And I sometimes actually go there in person and explain how our products and services could be used. So this is not an IR activity, but this is another type of activity to communicate what sort of services and products are available for society and communities. And this kind of business result meetings are now open for the people who can't come to the site or this kind of venues in person, so that we communicate even better to the society. Thank you. If there is no other questions, we would like to end the QA session, both from the floor as well as the internet. Now we would like to move on to the deliberations of the item. First, I refer proposal number 1, election of 6 directors, excluding directors who are audit committee members. At the conclusion of this meeting, the terms of office of all of the 5 directors will expire. The company proposes electing 6 directors by adding 1 to enhance the management. The candidates are listed on page 46 through 49 of the convocation notice. I'd like to elect all of the 6 directors together, and I'd like to entertain questions from the floor. If there is no questions, may I call for a vote on this proposal at this time?
では、第1号議案について採決いたします。
I here call for a vote on proposal number 1. Please give us a hand if you favor it as originally proposed. Thank you. As the majority of voting forms and the electromagnetically submitted votes were in its favor, the proposal number 1, election of 6 directors excluding those who are audit committee members, has been duly approved. Now, I would like to introduce 6 directors who have just been elected. Ide Nobutaka, myself, Machida Yoichi, Yamamoto Sadao, Usuda Yukio, Inazumi Ken, Inamasu Mikako. She is seated at the most front row of the shareholders' seatings. So these are the 6 directors, and I'd like to seek for your support in advance. Now let's move on to the second item. I now would like to refer proposal number 2, election of 2 directors who are audit committee members. At the conclusion of this meeting, the term of office of Director Takashi Kamura and Osamu Hosokubo, who are currently audit committee members, will expire. Therefore, the company proposes electing the 2 directors who are audit committee members. And here, the company would like to elect the 2 candidates on page 50 to 51 of the notice as directors who are audit committee members. The consent of the audit committee has been obtained for this proposal. I'd like to entertain any questions on this matter. Thank you. So, as we seem to have no questions, may I call for a vote on this proposal at this time? I here call for a vote on proposal number 2. Please give us a hand if you agree as originally proposed. Thank you. As the majority of voting forms and electromagnetically submitted votes were in its favor, the proposal number 2, election of 2 directors who are audit committee members, has been duly approved. Now, I would like to introduce 2 audit members, directors, Takashi Kamura, Osamu Hosokubo. These are 2 directors who are audit committee members. Thank you very much for your support in advance. With this, we have covered all the purposes of this meeting today. So with this, we would like to end today's session. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you again. With this, we would like to end the shareholders meeting.